All right, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to tonight's show. Hopefully everyone got the message that tonight what we're going to do with the show is since the event, the debate that was supposed to take place yesterday had been canceled due to the snowy weather here in the greater Atlanta, Georgia area. I decided that what we would do is we would turn tonight's show into a talk about the topic. Now, unfortunately, wa alaikum salam, unfortunately, the other person, Mr. Bannister, he already had to leave town today. So the event was supposed to take place yesterday, but due to the snowy weather here in the Atlanta area and the greater Atlanta area, meaning the areas that surround Atlanta, the event had to be canceled because the college campus and many schools were closed and things of that nature. So the event was canceled. So what I decided to do was still give you people an opportunity to enjoy the benefit of that topic by turning it into a lecture or a talk of myself. And basically, I will present the argument that I would have presented during the debate. And then what we can do is we can open it up for questions and answers from those of you who are viewing the event. Now, let me do something real quick, everyone. Just bear with me. I want to go ahead and do a quick reminder to everyone on Twitter and Facebook to let them know that we're live right now. I put out a post earlier, but I just want to go ahead and do a quick reminder. So while we're doing that, hopefully everybody else can come and join in and we'll go from there. So just bear with me, okay, while I go ahead and do that. And we'll go from there, okay? All right. So let me go ahead and just do that. All right, so let's see. Let's go ahead and do a quick shout out to remind everybody that the event is on right now, and if they want to tune in, they can do that, okay? Let's do that, all right? King Kareem, wa alaikum salam, wa alaikum salam, all right? Let's see. Let's see, I gotta keep this phone plugged in, battery's low. And if you can, just go ahead and spread the word, inshallah, so you can spread the word to others and let them know that we're live right now, all right? Okay, let's see here. So what we're doing is, like I said, this will give a chance for people to tune in to the show. Ahmed Al-Kafaji, wa alaikum salam, brother. Welcome. Go ahead and spread the word too. Let everybody know that we're on. Let them know that what today's topic is while we do that, okay? All right. Amber Banks, wa alaikum salam. Welcome to the show. Welcome. Spread the word. I'm just right now, we're giving everybody a chance to come in, tune in. So before we haven't started yet, we want to give everybody a chance to come in, and I'm doing a quick promotion one more time. I already tweeted it earlier today. I just want to do it again, let everybody know that we're live right now. Okay. Let's see, live right now. Topic: Jesus, man, myth, or God? All right, capitalize that J. Okay. All right, and let me do it on Facebook real quick, and then we'll jump right into it. All right, let's see. So on your end, if you can, just spread the word. Let everybody know that we're here, that the show is on. Tell them what the topic is. All right, let's see here. Put that phone right there. Just like the other day also, if anybody wants to donate, in the description of the video, you should see the link where you can make a direct donation. All right, you should be able to see the link right there where you can make a direct donation if anybody wants to donate. All right. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Yes, appreciate that. Thank you very much. Yeah, we're trying to promote the book too. We're trying to get the book promoted. It's a lot of, as you see, the brother just gave us a good review. It's a lot of good, useful information in there. So, you know, whether you're Muslim or Christian, get your hands on it. A lot of useful information on either side. All right, let's share this again. Live right now. Go to YouTube Live. Mr. Islam. Oops. That's it. Back. All right, one more I got, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Give everybody a chance to come on in. Give everybody a chance to come on in. So go ahead, spread the word. Let everybody know we're live. Let's get the audience in here. Let's get them in here. All right, let's see. So you could tweet it, Facebook post it. Let's get this going, everybody. Let's get this going, inshallah. Let's see. Okay. All right, so we sent out the tweets and we sent out some Facebook posts. All right, and if you could do the same on your side, if you could tweet that we're live right now, post it on your Facebook, let them know that we're live, and yeah, we can get this going. And let's see, maybe we can kind of make it like interactive. You know what I mean? Like maybe we can see if people can post questions from the Twitter, post questions here on live. Let's see how we can, you know, let's just see how we can get this thing rocking here. Okay. Yeah, let me change the title here, Mr. Instant Answer Back. Live topic: Jesus, man, myth, or God. All right, that's the topic. Like I said, everybody should be able to see the donation thing. Everything should be good to go, right? Let's see here. I was still trying to find out how all changes are set. Okay, cool. I gotta work on this laptop to see how I can get this thing live on the laptop. Does anybody know how to do that, by the way? If you're using your laptop, how do you get the live to go? I did it, I did it a week ago, but I forgot what I did. I think I have to download this pro, but I thought I did that already. The way to go live on your laptop, because I have the laptop right here in front of me, and it'll give us the wide screen. But all right, we'll worry about that later. I'll figure it out later. Okay, so we're ready, right? We're ready to begin tonight's show. Wa alaikum salam, Abu Muhammad. Let's spread the word, everybody. Let's let everybody know that we're here. Let's get the audience in here. Let's get the show on the road. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and just begin. So as you know, We had a debate scheduled for yesterday at Kennesaw State University, and the topic was supposed to be Jesus, man, myth, or God. And it was supposed to take place between myself and a Mr. Andy Bannister, who is a member of an organization, the Ravi Zacharias organization. From what I understand, basically this organization seems to cater towards Muslims, basically trying to evangelize Muslims or bring Muslims to Christianity, you know, something of that sort. That's basically their agenda, which is to try to, you know, talk to Muslims and invite them to Christianity. All right. So it would, you know, inshallah, it would have been a good, you know, good debate to see what would have been said. But as I said, here in Georgia, we had snow in the Atlanta area and the surrounding areas of Atlanta. And so they had to cancel the debate, you know, which was understandable. The roads get very bad, icy, slippery, you know, so for everyone's safety, travel conditions, they had to cancel. So I decided that instead of letting, you know, it go like that I'll just do a lecture and present my argument, and then we'll open it up, you know, to the audience. And if you guys have any questions, and we can do it from there. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this started. All right, let's go ahead and get this started. So again, the topic is Jesus, man, myth, or is he God? All right. Now, coming from first of all, let's start with the myth part of it. There are people out there, of course, not Christian or Muslim, but there are people out there, maybe some atheists, and a group of people they call mythicists, who say that Jesus was indeed a myth, that he did not exist at all, that there is an argument out there. Now, I doubt, of course, the person I was going to debate, he's a Christian, so obviously he wasn't going to take that position. Of course, me as a Muslim, I wasn't going to take that position either. But nonetheless, I like to put it out there that there are people out there that say that Jesus was a complete myth, that he did not exist, that he's just a complete myth. Some of the reasons they offer are that, from the time period, which is true, which is true from what I've seen, that from his time period, there was no mention of him from his time period. You know, he gets mentioned, and really mostly from Christians, some decades after the time period that he was supposed to have been there. So that's the argument that the mythicists bring, is that they feel that Jesus is a complete myth. And one of the reasons that they point to is that, you know, the writers, and there were writers from the time period, from either his time period or within his time period, and yet they don't mention anything about Jesus. Okay? And also too, and I bring a portion of that up a lot of times when I'm debating, especially when it comes to the topic of the crucifixion or the resurrection of Jesus. And I use a portion of that argument in that a lot of times Christians will try to point to that event as if that was some type of historical event. And so one of the things that I point to is that, unfortunately for them, that there's no record, right? There is no historical record of the trial of Jesus or the death of Jesus, and especially not the resurrection, right? There is no history of anybody rising back from the dead, okay? So I just wanted to talk on that. All right, so now, as you should know, if you don't know, I'll make it aware up to you, right? For those who may not be aware, that as Muslims, we do believe in Jesus, right? So if you're not aware of that, if you're new to this discussion between Muslims and Christians about the subject matter of Jesus, I'm gonna let you know that as Muslims, we do believe in the person Jesus. The difference is that we do not believe that Jesus is God in person, right? We do not believe that Jesus is a member of the Trinity, i.e. a member of the so-called Godhead. And we do not believe that Jesus is the Son of God, the actual Son of God. We do not believe that. However, we do believe in Jesus. And so the Muslim portion of this debate, or this rather, sorry, not debate, of this subject is the man part, right? As Muslims, we believe Jesus was a man that was chosen by God to be a messenger, prophet of God. Okay? So our take in this discussion is the man part. Jesus, man, myth, or God. As Muslims, we say he was a man. Okay? He was a man. He was a prophet, a messenger of God, but he was not God himself. Okay? And some of the reasons why the Muslims say this can be seen in the Quran, chapter 5, verse 75. Here it talks about Jesus, and it says the Messiah, the son of Mary, was only a messenger. Other messengers had gone before him. It speaks about his mother. Now I'm starting to paraphrase. It speaks about his mother being a truthful woman, and it makes a mention that they both used to eat food. So some people wonder, well, what's this thing about eating food thing? Okay, and this verse is clearly showing and demonstrating that Jesus was a man, a messenger. That's why it says Jesus, the Messiah, son of Mary, was only a messenger. He's a human being. He's a man. He was a messenger of God. And other messengers had come before him who were the same. They were men. They were not gods in person. They were not superhuman beings or anything of this sort. They were messengers before him, just the same. And his mother was a truthful woman, and they both used to eat food, i.e., the demonstration of eating food shows your human nature, right? We eat food what? Because we're human beings. And of course, food provides our bodies nourishment and allows us to live. Without food, without nourishment, we become weak, we die, and that demonstrates our human frailties. Whereas if the person was a god, or is God, God is the all-powerful, almighty, there's no need, right? God doesn't need to eat food to nourish himself, to nourish his body, to survive, to stay alive. Another verse in the Quran that demonstrates to the Muslim or the reader of the Quran that Jesus is a man is chapter 43, verse 59, which reads, "He was naught but a servant on whom we bestowed favor, and we made him an example for the children of Israel." Right? For the children of Israel. So once again here, Jesus in the Quran is clearly being mentioned as a servant of God, clearly showing that he's not God himself, but a servant of God on whom God had bestowed favor. Okay? Now, a lot of times, from my experience in this subject, Christians seem to take issue with these verses, in that they feel that to say Jesus was a messenger is like somehow putting him down. Right? They take it like it's somehow like, oh, because if you hear their arguments, they'll say, oh, Islam says he was just a mere messenger, as if being a messenger is some kind of, mediocre or menial position. There's nothing mere about being a messenger of God. So when they say, oh, Islam says he was just a mere messenger. Well, first of all, there's no mere. You're not. No one who's been chosen by God. Wa alaikum salam, right? No one who is chosen by God to be a messenger of God is some kind of regular, ordinary person, right? If you have that position, if you have that title, well, this is an extraordinary title. This is no one can ever say, oh, he's just a mere messenger of God. No, that doesn't exist, right? That's an honored position. That's a high position to be chosen as a messenger of God. So, but as I said to the Christian, they take it like an insult, and they say, "Oh, Islam says he's just a mere messenger." As if everybody can be messengers of God, and therefore, it's not right. So, in other words, it's not a common thing, right? It's not a common thing for a man to be a messenger of God. So that you can never, refer to somebody as a messenger of God as if it's some simple, mediocre, average, everyday type of thing. No, if you have that, that's a special position to be a messenger of God. So that's never a small thing. But as I said, they take issue with it by saying, oh, Islam says he's just a mere messenger. And I guess I would assume from their perspective, because they believe that he's God, to say that he's only a messenger of God, to them is seen as like a degradation, because to them, well, he's supposed to be the Almighty God himself. So to say that he's a messenger is like you're lowering him. But in Islam, to be a messenger is actually raising a person up, because again, all human beings don't have that privilege, right? So, all right. Now, as I said, as you see, I gave a few examples from the Quran that shows why the Muslims believe that Jesus is a man, is a messenger of God. But for many people, that's not enough, right? For many people, that's not enough. So what does it tell us in the Quran in chapter 16, verse 125? It tells us, call to the way of your Lord with wisdom and goodly exhortation, and have disputations or debates. It actually says that, have disputations or debate with them in the best manner. Surely your Lord knows best those who go astray from his path, and he knows best those who follow the right way. Right? In the Quran, we're told to bring evidence for claims that are made, or ask others to provide their evidence if they're making claims as well. So for example, in Quran chapter 37, verse 157, it says, then bring your book if you are truthful. Quran chapter 46, verse 4 says, say, have you considered what you call upon besides or other than Allah? Show me what they have created of the earth, or have they a share in the heavens? Bring me a book before this, or traces of knowledge, if you are truthful. Okay, so again, I say this, that this is what we do in Islam. I gave you clearly what the Quran is saying. So now I'm going to do what the Quran instructs me further to do, which is to provide evidence for what I'm saying. Right? I'm going to provide evidence for what I'm saying. So what do we do in showing that whether Jesus is a man, a myth, or God? As I said, the Islamic position is that he is a man. Out of the three, man, myth, or God, right? The Christian says he's God. The Christian says he's God, but we say he's a man. And I'm going to demonstrate that right now by pointing to the thing that the Christian believes in, right? The Christian believes that the Bible is their book, allegedly from God, that gives them information and guidance or whatever. So I'm going to demonstrate from their book that the Islamic position is correct in that Jesus is indeed a man. Wa alaikum salam. A man, but a messenger. He's a man, but he's a messenger of God. He's not God. All right, excuse me quickly. Okay, so let's start first with the earliest followers of Jesus. The people who were said to be earliest followers. What did they believe about Jesus? Right? What did they believe? I'm not talking about and we'll talk about the disciples in a little bit. But right now, just the earliest followers, whether it's disciples, whether it's alleged disciples, or whether it's just people who were said to have followed him, like meaning outside of the 12 disciples, other people who would have listened to him or followed him. According to their book, in Matthew chapter 21, verse 11, this is when Jesus is preaching and out doing miracles and things like that. According to their book, what do the earliest people who believe in him, what do they do, right? Well, according to this, it says, again, Matthew chapter 21, verse 11, it says, the crowds answered, this is Jesus, the prophet from Nazareth in Galilee. Did you hear that? Let me read that again. This is the crowds of people. Jesus is out preaching. He's out doing miracles and things like that in front of people. So they see him. They hear him preaching. They listen to him. They follow him. They walk with him. What do they believe him to be? You heard it right here. It says the crowds answered and they said, this is Jesus, the prophet. Not Jesus, the God, right? Not Jesus, the God. Jesus, the prophet from Nazareth in Galilee. Okay, so the people who first heard him who first saw him, who heard him preach, who saw him perform miracles or whatever, according to them, they say he's a prophet. These are the first people who listen to him and follow him. They say he's a prophet, not a god, a prophet. Okay? Matthew chapter 21, verse 46. Again, Matthew chapter 21, verse 46. It says, again, this is the same incident. He's out preaching and doing miracles or whatever. And now his enemies, they want to try to arrest him, right? They want to try to arrest Jesus. So it says they looked for a way to arrest him, but they were afraid of the crowd. This is, from what I remember, it's not the Roman authorities want to arrest him, but the Jewish authorities, right? Whoever were the authorities, among the Jews, they wanted to arrest Jesus. But it says they were afraid of the crowd. Why? Why were they worried about the crowd? It says because the people held that he was a prophet. Did you hear that? The people didn't think he was God. The people didn't think he was God. The people held that he was a prophet. So the authorities amongst the Jews were afraid to arrest him because the multitude, it says, in fact, the multitude, meaning the large number of the crowd of the people, they took him as a prophet. Notice what it says, a prophet. So according to the Christians' own book, right, according to their book, the earliest followers of Jesus took him, wa alaikum salam, brother Atto, wa alaikum salam, Delmas. They took him as a prophet. Everybody got that? This is according to their own book now. Their own book is saying the earliest people who listened to Jesus, followed him, etc., they took him as a prophet. They didn't think he was God. They took him as a prophet. All right? Another one is Matthew chapter 9, verse 8. Matthew chapter 9, verse 8. Now, this one is interesting because in this one, it says that, again, he's performing miracles and such, right? He's performing miracles. And here, Jesus is performing miracles, and he's also healing people, and he's also forgiving sins. Now, one of the arguments that the Christians try to make in their claim that he's God is that Jesus had the ability to forgive sins. And I'm going to deal with that during as I go on and show how that doesn't make you God because you can forgive sins. Okay, I'll deal with that. But right now, the point in this verse is that here Jesus was healing people and forgiving sins of people. So to many Christians, that's somehow a proof that he's God. However, notice what the people, I'm going to read the verse, and you're going to see what the people who saw him heal people and saw him forgive people's sins, what did they think? Did they say, wow, look, there's God right there forgiving sins? Well, let's see. This is Matthew chapter 9, verse 8. It says, again, after he's healing people and forgiving sins of people, what do they take him as? It says, when the crowd saw this, i.e. they saw him healing people and they saw him forgiving sins. It says, when the crowd saw this, they were filled with awe, and they praised God who had given such authority to man. Did you hear that? The crowd saw Jesus heal and forgive sins. So what did they do? They said they were in awe because what? And they gave praise to God. Because what they were witnessing to them was that God had given such power and authority to man. Who's the man? Jesus. So what's the debate? What's the subject? Jesus, man, myth, or God? I'm already showing to you that what? According to their own book, the people who first followed him took him as a man. The people who first followed and listened to Jesus, they took him as a man. Yeah, brother Abu, don't worry. You're way ahead of me. I'm getting to that. You know I'm going to bring that one, right? You know I'm going to bring that one. But here, I want to do it in like, basically, I'm like a lawyer in a court, making my argument step by step. So first, I'm starting with the people who followed him. Then I'm going to get into what Jesus himself has to say. So don't worry, we're going to cover all of that. So as you can see, the people who first followed him, what are they telling you? It says that they saw this and they were filled with awe and they praised God. They didn't say, oh, look, Jesus is God, right? They didn't say, look, Jesus is God. They gave praise to God because God had given, that's what it says. God had given authority to such a man. And it says what? To man. God gave this authority to Jesus. So that means Jesus is someone other than God, right? God gave the power, the authority to Jesus. He wasn't God himself. He didn't have the authority already. God had to give Jesus, right? God had to give Jesus the authority to do this. And the people understood it. So Christians today, why don't you understand that? If the people who followed Jesus before you understood it, and they gave praise to God because God gave, look the word, gave, that means you didn't have it, gave it to Jesus. Why don't you do that? Why do you instead praise Jesus as God? See? Instead, today's Christian, you praise Jesus as God. Rather than the people who came before you, no, they gave praise to God because God had given Jesus the authority to do what he did. Okay? So let's continue. Let's continue. We have Luke chapter 7. Luke chapter 7, verses 12 through 16. Again, similar incident here in Luke chapter 7, verse 12 through 16. It's a similar incident where the people here, Jesus raises a man from the dead here, right? Here, Jesus raises a man from the dead here, right? According to the story. So once again, and that's the thing that Christians do today whenever I have this discussion. These are some of the arguments that they make. That because Jesus was performing these miracles, right? Because, Oh no, don't worry, Jehovah. We won't. We can't. I don't know how to block you anyway. This is YouTube, so I don't know how to block. I don't know how to block you. So don't worry. So don't worry. Nobody's afraid. Nobody's a coward. Jehovah's dragon. Nobody's a coward. You be right there free. Oh well, now you're cursing now. Oh, okay, see. Well, there you go. Now I do got to find out how to block people. Now I do got to find out how to block you. See. Now I thought you were going to be respectful, but you see, now that's what happens now. So let's see. How do you block people here? Now, if you're going to come in and be like that about it, well, then we can't have that now, can we? Right? If you're gonna be here, then be respectful, please. All right? If you're gonna be here, be respectful, please. All right? We don't need you cursing and all of that. If you're gonna be here, you can disagree. That's fine, but be respectful. Okay? Your name is Jehovah Dragon, so why are you here cursing for? What are you cursing for? All right? Nobody's insulting you. Nobody's insulting what you believe. We're discussing it. We're laying out the evidence, but there's no need for that. All right? All right. So back to what I was saying. In Luke chapter 7, verse 12 through 16, it says, "And fear took hold on all, and they glorified God, saying, a great prophet," everybody hear that? "A great prophet is arisen among us, and God had visited his people." This is after Jesus raised the dead. So in other words, they do not take Jesus as a God, right? They don't take Jesus as a God. Here it says after Jesus had raised the man from the dead, the people give praise to God. It says they glorified God, saying what? That Jesus was God? No. They glorified God, saying a great prophet is risen among us. So again, according to them, Jesus is a great prophet. So they give praise to God. They glorify God because God has allowed a great prophet to rise amongst them. Now it says God had visited his people, but as you can see from the context, it means that God has visited his people, i.e. through the prophet. So through the prophet, this is taken as a visiting of God, right? As through the prophet coming to them, this is taken as a way, this is looked upon as God is visiting his people. Not that God directly himself is coming to visit, but that God is visiting his people through sending the prophet, right? Through sending the prophet to them. This is how it's seen as God is visiting his people, but the prophet is not God himself, as the verse clearly demonstrates, right? Another one is Luke chapter 24, verse 19, right? Luke chapter 24, verse 19. It says here, and he said unto them. Now this one is a very interesting one, because in this verse here, this is supposed to be Jesus talking to actually one of his direct followers. Right? In this verse, in Luke chapter 24, right here, right? Here, this is supposed to be Jesus after the alleged resurrection. And so, for some reason, he's in disguise, right? For some reason, Jesus is in disguise. His followers don't recognize him. Now, these are his closest followers. These are not the crowd. These are supposed to be his inner circle, right? His inner circle of followers, right? So here it says that he is going to his followers and he's asking them, because they were talking about the incidents that took place in Jesus. So he goes to them, right? And they don't recognize him for whatever reason. I don't know. Maybe he's in disguise or something. But for some reason, they don't recognize him. And so he asks them, what are they talking about? So this is Luke chapter 24, verse 19. And what do they say to him? They say, well, Jesus said to them, he said, what are you talking about? What things are you talking about? Right? And they said unto him, the things concerning Jesus of Nazarene, who was a prophet, mighty in deed and word before God and all the people. Did you hear that? Now, this is one of his closer followers. This is one of his closest followers, right? And his closest follower says to him, to Jesus himself, which he doesn't recognize, that what? That to them, Jesus, the Nazarene, was a prophet, mighty in deed and word before God and all the people. He wasn't God himself, right? He wasn't God himself. He was a prophet, mighty in deed and word before the Quran, before God, right? So this is what it says, right? That they take him as a prophet again. And again, these are his closest. Oh, there we go. Okay, so I got you now. Hi, I'm gonna throw him out of here. This guy's out of here. Oh, I deleted his message. No, I want to get him out. You got to go, bro. You're disrupting the whole thing. So Jehovah's Dragon, I got to throw you out of here. Not because you're saying anything truthful, but because you're being rude, you're cursing. So you got to go, bro. You got to go. I don't know who the hell you are, but you got to get up out of here. You got to get up out of here. I'm throwing you out, dude. See? You guys, that's Christianity. You want to claim that you guys are all about the love and all of that, but here you are, you know, and so I got to throw you out. Hide user. Yeah, I'm about to hide you. There you go. Put user in timeout. Should I put him in? Yeah, timeout. We're going to throw you in timeout. All right, so yeah, so you're in timeout now. Okay, you're in timeout. All right, so does everybody understand that? Right? You all understand that? In Luke chapter 24, verse 19, right? Wait, did I make a mistake in? Yeah, it's hard to do that, bro, with, wait a minute, did I make a mistake in? Let me see here. Why does it say everybody's message is deleted? No mistake? Okay, good. All right, because I'll make sure you guys are okay. Okay, so the rest of you guys are okay, just him. All right. So where was I? Only his. Okay, cool. So where was I? I was at Luke 24:19. All right, so you got me, right? So in Luke 24:19, right? In Luke 24:19, Brother Muhammad, yeah, everybody hold the questions until the end. All right? Hold the questions to the end, and then we'll open it up for questions and answers. Okay, so I'll try to answer or deal with those questions in the end. Okay, in the end. So where was I? I was at Luke 24:19. Right. So as I said in Luke 24:19, this is supposed to be after the alleged resurrection. Notice I said alleged. All right. I'm using my words very carefully. Notice I said alleged resurrection. So here, after the alleged resurrection, Jesus is talking to his followers, and he asked them what they were talking about because they don't recognize him. And so they don't know they're talking to Jesus. According to the story, they don't know that they're talking to Jesus. And so they tell him that the things about Jesus, which was that he was a mighty prophet, or a prophet mighty in deed and word before God and all the people. Okay? So as you can see, it's clear that according to them, is lagging a little bit. Yeah, it may be because I keep getting a thing saying that I have a bad connection or whatever. So, all right, well, it's going good for some, all right. Another one that we look at is Acts chapter 2. Everybody got that? That's Acts chapter 2, verse 22. Acts chapter 2, verse 22. And here it reads, it says, "Ye men of Israel, hear these words. Jesus of Nazareth, a man." Everybody catch that? What's the topic? Jesus, man, myth, or God? I'm proving the Islamic perspective that he's not a myth, he's not a god, but he's a man. He's a man. So their own book confirms this. So here we see in Acts chapter 2, verse 22, it makes a point blank statement that what? Here, excuse me, alhamdulillah. It says, "Ye men of Israel," and I guess that would include people who claim they believe in Jesus and follow him. Hear these words. I want you guys to listen. Hear these words. Jesus of Nazareth. Who is he? Who is he? It says Jesus of Nazareth, a man. It's over. It's over. I can put down my work right there and it's done. If I wanted to, right? If I wanted to, I could stop right there. It's finished. It says what? Jesus of Nazareth, a man, approved of God, approved of God unto you by mighty works and wonders and signs, listen again, which God did by him in the midst of you, even as you yourselves know. So again, what does it tell us? It says Jesus was a man, just like I'm proving. Just like the Islamic perspective says, that Jesus was a man. A man, what kind of man? A man approved of God. Right? God gave Jesus authority. God did miracles by Jesus or through Jesus. That doesn't make him God. That just makes him a tool of God. Right? God used Jesus to perform the miracles. But he wasn't God himself, as the verse demonstrates. So it's saying here, men of Israel, hear these words. Jesus of Nazareth was a man. He was a man approved of God. He wasn't God himself, but God approved of Jesus. And God used Jesus to do mighty works and wonders through him. Okay? So there we have it. All right, so the next thing is, let us look at the words that are attributed to Jesus. Right? Let's look at the words in their book that is attributed to Jesus. Again, I already gave you what the Quran says. The Quran's words are very clear and emphatic. That Jesus was a servant of God. Jesus was a messenger of God. The Quran says that Jesus, doesn't claim to be God, but a servant of God. So the Quran's verses are clear. I gave you that at the beginning. So now let's take a look at their book again. in words that they say are the words of Jesus. What does in their book, what does Jesus say in their book about who he is himself? Right? Well, somebody gave the verse earlier. One of the brothers mentioned the verse. He was a little bit ahead, but that's okay. He gave John chapter 8, verse 40. Right? I like this verse. It's a very strong verse because this is supposed to be Jesus talking. And here he makes it clear. You ever see, if anybody ever watched the old debates with Ahmed Deedat, right? Where Ahmed Deedat is always asking for the proof. Show me one verse where Jesus says, I am God, worship me, right? Everybody, if you ever watched any old debates of Ahmed Deedat, you're familiar with that argument where Brother Deedat is always asking for the proof. Show me a verse where Jesus says, I am God, or worship me, right? And they can't show it. But we can show a verse where Jesus makes a clear statement that he's not God. Okay? That he's not God, but he's a man. And that is John chapter 8, verse 40. Brothers and sisters, let's see here. I just got a message that my battery is going low. So hopefully we can get this out before the battery goes low. If it does go low, I'm going to give everybody a heads up. If the battery cuts off before, because I'm using my cell phone. If it cuts off before I get to finish, I'll try to see if I can set up and continue this on the laptop. So if you're watching and all of a sudden things just shut off, that means the battery died on my phone. And then I'll just try to come back on the laptop. All right. So I'll just give you a heads up now. But let's see how far we can get. All right. So again, in John chapter 8, verse 40, this is supposed to be Jesus talking. And he makes a clear, emphatic statement that he's not God. How do I read it? Let's read it. He says here, he's talking to the Jews who are trying to do him harm. He says, as it is, you are looking for a way to kill me. Who am I? I'm Jesus. Who am I? You're looking for a way to kill me. I'm what? A man. That's what he says, according to the book, allegedly. Allegedly, he says, you're looking for a way to kill me. A man, not a God. Not a God. A man who has told you the truth that I heard from God. Now that makes it even more clear. He's saying, look, you're trying to kill me. A man that has told you the truth that I heard from God. That makes it clear, if you can't see it, that he clearly is not God himself, right? And this is the argument that I always bring to people. If you say he's God, if he were God himself, people, why is he saying that he heard the truth from God? He heard it from somewhere else. He heard it in his ears from somewhere else. So if he's God according to you Christians, then what other God is he hearing the truth from? And I thought Christians believe that there's only one God. So if Jesus is the one God, then why is he here saying that he's a man, number one, and that he heard it, the truth, from God? If he is God himself, how could that be? How could he be God himself but hear the truth from somewhere else? Obviously, he's not God, because God doesn't have to hear the truth. Why? Because God is the source of the truth, right? For those of us who believe in God, we believe that God is the source of the truth. The truth comes from God. Wa alaikum salam, Blue Seas. Right? So God doesn't have to hear the truth from anyone because he is the source of the truth. However, in their book, Jesus is saying that he heard the truth from God. And a further point that makes this verse so strong is that when we go back to the Greek language, right? For those of you who don't know, the New Testament is written in Greek, right? The New Testament is written in Greek. So in Greek, in this verse, the word for a man, this word does not mean a man meaning like me, like I'm male, a male of the male gender, right? That's a different Greek word. The Greek word here, this word means a human being. It actually means a human being. So actually, his statement is even more powerful. He's not just saying that, hey, I'm a man, meaning I am a male biologically. I'm a man biologically. No, he's saying I'm a human being. They translate it as man, but really he's actually saying mankind. I am a human being. The Greek word is anthropos, right? Anthropos. Here's what it means. According to Random House Dictionary, this word its origin is from Greek. It means, according to Random House Dictionary, it means a human being. It means a human being. Everybody heard that? This word anthropos means a human being, or anthropos. It means a human being. According to Online Etymology Dictionary, Douglas Harper, he says that anthropo is the prefix pertaining to man, from the combination form of the Greek anthropos, meaning man, human being. Human being. Does everybody got that? Human being. Let's go further. From Vine's Expository Dictionary of the New Testament, he goes even further. Vine's Expository Dictionary of the New Testament says anthropo is used generally of a human being, any human being, whether male or female, without reference to sex or nationality. Now, like I said, if you want to say that somebody is a man, meaning biologically a man, of the male gender, the Greek word is aner. Aner means me, like a man. Like I say, if I wanted to say I'm a man, meaning I'm biologically a man in Greek, you use the word aner. Aner. That means biologically a man. But John does not have Jesus saying that. The unknown writer, that's right, the unknown writer of John, right? The unknown writer of John in John 8:40 has Jesus put the words anthropo in his mouth. So according to the unknown writer of John, Jesus is saying that he is a complete human being. He's not a God. In fact, that's what this word says, right? In the Vine's Expository Dictionary of the New Testament, it says, this is key point. It says this word means generally a human being, whether male or female. It says this word is in distinction from God. That's it. It's over. It's over right there. No, you can't really make any argument beyond that. This Greek word that Jesus is using in John 8:40 shows that whoever uses this word means that they are demonstrating that they are in distinction from God. So that means so in other words, the reason why I'm making this point is because Christians say, well, yeah, he is a man, but he's also God, right? The Christian says Jesus is both man and he's also God at the same time. But no, this word won't allow that. This word won't allow you to say he's both God and man at the same time, because this word distinguishes man from God. So that means God is out of here. You got to take the God part. You can't be God and man if you're anthropos or anthropo. Am I clear? You can't be God and man at the same time if you're an anthropo or anthropos. Why? Because that's what the word means. The word is used to describe a full and complete human being. If you're an anthropo or anthropos, you're not a God. You're not God and man. You're not a man and an animal. You're not a man and an alien. You're not a human being and something else. You're a complete, full human being, right? So this is what's key in the usage of this word. That the writer of John has Jesus saying that you are trying to kill me, a full human being, right? A full human being, right? A full human being is what Jesus is saying here in John 8:40. That he's a full human being that they're trying to kill. And that he's a full human being who heard the truth. He heard the truth from God. Okay, very clear. All right. So some other points to look at. To contrast is that if you may not know, there's a Greek version of the Old Testament, right? There's a Greek version of the Old Testament. So what I would like to do is compare the Greek words of the New Testament and the Greek words of the Greek version of the Old Testament. It's known as the Septuagint, right? The Greek version of the Old Testament, you know, the Old Testament is supposed to be in Hebrew. Originally, it's in Hebrew, right? But there is a version of it that was put into Greek known as the Septuagint. Yes, Calling Christians typed it on the screen how you spell it. Septuagint. So what I'm going to do is compare the Greek of the Old Testament and the Greek of the New Testament to make this point. So as I just demonstrated to you that Jesus is saying in John 8:40 that he is an anthropo or anthropos, a full, complete human being in distinction. He's distinguished from God. So he can't be God and man at the same time. All right? So let's take a look. In Hosea chapter 11 verse 9, right? Hosea chapter 11 verse 9, here the God of the Old Testament says that he's not a human being. He's not a man. But guess what? In the Greek, he says, for I am God and I am not anthropos. So everybody see this? So if you take Hosea 11:9 and you contrast it with John 8:40, this adds up that Jesus can't be God. He can't be God because God in Hosea 11:9 says, for I am God and I am not anthropos or anthropo, right? I am not that, but Jesus says, I am that. You get it? Jesus says, I am anthropos. But God, Yahweh in the Old Testament says, I am God and I am not anthropos or anthropo. So that shows you that Jesus is not God. Because Yahweh says, I am not anthropos. But Jesus says, I am anthropos. So how could Jesus be God? How could Jesus be Yahweh? If he's Yahweh, why is he saying the opposite of what Yahweh says? Yahweh says, I am not anthropos or anthropo. But Jesus says, yes, I am anthropos. I'm a human being. God says, I am not a human being. The same can be seen in Numbers chapter 23:19, right? In Numbers chapter 23:19, once again, it says the same thing. For I am God and I am not anthropos. It's that same word again where Jesus says, God says, I am not anthropos. But Jesus says, I am anthropos, John 8:40. I'm contrasting John 8:40 to Hosea 11:9 to Numbers chapter 23:19, right? Link for... No, as far as I know, you just got to go to YouTube, my YouTube channel. All right. Here's another one. Isaiah chapter 31 verse 3, right? Yeah, am I right? Yes. Okay, so it always is anthropos. Is that it? Always anthropos, right? Because I see some that have it as anthropo, saying that it came from the Greek, which pronounced it anthropos. What was I? Oh, so I was saying, yes, that Isaiah 31 verse 3. Now here, God is condemning the Egyptians, right? It says the Egyptians, they are anthropos and not God. So once again, knocking down anybody who's anthropos. Anybody who's an anthropos, you're not God. So Isaiah chapter 31 verse 3 condemns the Egyptians because, you know, the Egyptians believed that they were gods, right? So here it says the Egyptians, they are not, in other words, it's saying the Egyptians, they're human beings and they are not gods. Because they are anthropos, they can't be God. So Isaiah 31 verse 3 condemns the Egyptians as being anthropos and not God. So again, Jesus says that he is anthropos in John 8:40. So how can he therefore be God if he is saying that he is what God says he's not? So are you seeing this? I gave you Hosea 11:9, Numbers chapter 23:19, where God says that he's not anthropos. He's God. He's not anthropos. But Jesus says that he is anthropos and not God. And in Isaiah 31:3, the Egyptians are being condemned because they are anthropos and not God. All right. Another one is Ezekiel chapter 28 verse 2, where the prince of Tyrus, he is also rebuked for claiming to be God, but he's just anthropos. So Ezekiel 28 verse 2 also condemns oh wow, I only got 2%, guys. All right, guys, like I said, get ready, because I only got 2% battery energy left. So like I said, if it goes down, I'm going to switch over and try to get my laptop working, and we can continue from there. So, all right, so don't panic. If it goes down, stay tuned. I'll just get the laptop on and see how I can get the laptop to go live. All right, I only got 2%, but let's go. Let's keep going until the end, until it runs out. So don't go anywhere. If it cuts off, don't go anywhere. I'll switch over to the laptop. All right, and it may take me a few minutes to get the laptop set up. All right, but so as I said, Ezekiel chapter 28 verse 2 shows the prince of Tyrus is being rebuked because he claims to be God, right? The prince of Tyrus claims to be God, but he's rebuked because what? Because he's an anthropos. So once again, throughout the Old Testament, anybody who is an anthropos, meaning a human being, is condemned as not being God. They're condemned as not being God because Yahweh God says, I am not anthropos. But Jesus says he is anthropos. He says he's an anthropos. Not only does he say he's an anthropos, but he says he's an anthropos who heard the truth from God. So that makes it clear that Jesus is other than God. I hope you understand what I'm showing you. I'm demonstrating that Jesus is other than God, everybody. And these words demonstrate it, that he is other than God, because he says, I heard the truth from God. If he were God, that statement would make no sense, right? If you're God yourself, you wouldn't have to say, I told you the truth that I heard from God, because you would be God yourself. So it would make no sense to say, I heard the truth from God, right? Okay. All right. So some other proof that Jesus is a man and not God is John chapter 14 verse 28, right? John 14:28. Here again, according to the unknown writer of John, it says that Jesus is saying, you heard me say, I am going away and I am coming back to you. If you loved me, you would be glad that I'm going to the Father, for the Father is greater than I, right? Greater than I. So once again, common sense. How, if God, according to the Bible and according to Islam, I know, right? That 2% is holding on pretty strong, right? According to the Bible and the Quran, God is the greatest, right? Or God is the most high. God is the most great, right? So if Jesus is God, how could he dare say that someone is greater than him, right? If Jesus is the man God that you claim that he is, why is he uttering the words that someone is greater than him? And this idea also even refutes the Trinity, right? Because the Christians say that in the Trinity, the three members, right? The three are co-equal. Co-equal. That means, what does that mean, everybody? Co-equal means that each of the three members of the Trinity are all on the same level, right? None is higher, none is lower. They're all on the same level, co-equal. But here, one of the alleged members of the Trinity, alleged, Jesus, is said to say that one of the members is greater than him. Well, how can that be? How can that be if he's supposed to be God himself? Well, you know why he's saying that God is greater than him, right? Is because what? He's a man. That's why. He's a man. That's why he says God is greater than him, because Jesus is a man. So Jesus, man, myth, or God, he's a man. He's a man, and he admits, like every one of us would admit, that God is greater than us, right? God is greater than us. And Jesus says the same thing. He said, look, the Father is greater than him. And if anybody has any doubts,
depending on which version. I guess it depends on which version that you read, but because there's two different Greek words that I noticed in my studies. In some versions, it uses the Greek word mazan, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Mazan or mazan. I'm not sure if it's mazan or mazan, right? This Greek word means, according to Strong's, Greek, man, what's that? I forgot to, the language reference says that mazan or mazan, it means greater, larger, elder, or stronger. So Jesus is saying that the Father is greater than him. He's larger than him. He's elder. He's stronger than him, etc. And it all adds up to being greater. Right? Now, I found out there's another word that's used to, where was that other one? Where is it? It's megos. That's it. Right, yeah. Now, and then in some versions, it uses the word megos. Yeah, Strong's Concordance. Thank you. I was trying to catch the word. Right, yeah. Megos. Some versions use the word mega or megos. I don't know if it's megas or megos, whatever. But this also means the same thing. Some versions use mazan or mazan. Some use the word megos or megas. It means predicated of rank, as belonging to persons eminent for their ability, their virtue, their authority, their power. So according to this, whether it's the word mazan or mazan or megos, right? Jesus, the writer of John, has Jesus saying that the Father is more powerful than him, has more authority than him, has more ability than him, etc. Right? It's megas. Okay, pronounce it megas. Okay, so megas. Correct pronunciation. Thank you, brother, for helping me with those pronunciations. Right? So this word, and also predicated of rank. So that means Jesus is saying that the Father has a greater rank than him. But again, according to Christianity, the Trinity are co-equal, meaning they're all on the same level, right? None is higher, none is lower. They're all on the same level. But again, the writer of John has Jesus saying that the Father is mazan or megas, has a higher rank than him, has more authority than him, has more power than him, is greater than him, is older than him, is more eminent than him, has more ability than him, has more authority than him. But how is the Christian telling us that Jesus is God then? With all of this, how is the Christian still telling us that Jesus is God? How is it? It has to be because they're following the teachings of man. They're following the teachings of man. That's the way. That's the way. All right. Another powerful verse before my battery dies is John chapter 20, verse 17. This is another powerful one that I like to get people to think of, proving that Jesus is a man and not God. In John 20:17, the unknown writer of John has Jesus saying this. He says, "Go instead to my brothers and tell them, I am returning to my Father and your Father, to my God and your God." Now remember, this is supposed to be Jesus talking, the one whom they say is God. If he's God himself, why is he saying my God and your God? Right? My God and your God. Now, he's supposed to be God himself, right? According to them. So if he's God himself, why is he himself God saying that I have a God and you have a God and my God is your God also? Does that make sense? How could someone who's God say my God and your God? I'm going back to my God and my God is also your God. Right? Yeah, right? Right? So you got to think about that, people. You got to use some critical thinking. How could my God be your God if I'm God myself? Right? Unless there's another God. The only way that would make sense, right? The only way that would make sense is if there's another God. But Christianity says, no, there isn't another God, right? Christianity says, no, there's only one God. Okay, we agree. If there's only one God, why is the one who you claim is the one God, why is he saying that he has a God and his God is also your God, right? John 20:17, he's talking to Mary Magdalene. And he wants her to go back to the brothers, meaning the disciples, and tell them that I'm going back, Mary. Go tell the brothers, Mary, that I'm going back to my Father. He's also your Father. But not only that, he's also my God, and he's also your God. So me, I'm not your God, right? Jesus, Jesus, I'm not your God. I have a God, and my God is also your God. So the answer to the question, Jesus, man, myth, or God, the answer is a man, right? The answer is a man. He's a man clearly, right? He's a man clearly. Where am I at now? Oh, wow, 0% and it's still on. Well, literally it says 0%, but it's still going. Is it because I have it plugged in? Like, I have it plugged in, right? I have the phone plugged in, but it's like it's still going down even though it's plugged in. So like I said, it may shut off still. So get ready, everybody. Get ready. It may still shut off, or maybe the plug is keeping it on. I don't know. But it may still shut off. So just be ready. All right? If you're new in the room, if my phone shuts off, hold on. And I'm going to switch it to my laptop. So just hold tight if the phone shuts off. But it says, wallahi, it says 0%, but it's still working. I guess the plug, maybe the plug, or it might shut off. Who knows? You say the whole spirit, the power of the mashallah. Well, yeah, right. We believe in the Holy Ghost too, right? So he's working in our favor to keep the phone on. But like I said, if it shuts off, I want you to all stay tuned. I'm going to switch to my laptop, and I'll find a way to get it working, and we'll go from there. So, all right. But let's keep going. If it stays on, let's keep going. All right. So where was I? Yeah, now other people said John 17:3. So let's do John 17:3. Okay. So yeah, John 17:3 is also another powerful one, because this is supposed to be Jesus talking. And here, what's interesting in this verse is that Jesus is talking to God in this verse, right? In this verse, he's supposed to be talking to God. And what does he say when he talks to God in John 17:3? Well, let's read it. He says, this is life eternal, that they may know you. Again, this is Jesus talking to God. Jesus is talking to God. He says, this is life eternal, that they might know you, not me and you, but you, the only true God. And who am I? And I'm Jesus Christ, the Messiah, whom you have sent.